you guys it happened. Or I guess I should say it didn't happen. For those of you that are new, or maybe you've been tracking, I've been doing a challenge of going from $5 in the stock market to 1,000 as quick as I possibly could. And I gave myself 6 months to hit this goal that I had. And to do it, a lot of unconventional methods, a lot of things I was going to have to try. I was really going to have to challenge myself in order to get to that $1,000. And it's now at about the 6 month mark, and I got a chance to review the numbers, and I want to share them with you. But before I do, my name is Rick. I help you turn daily news into daily profits, and I talk about things like stocks, how to invest in them, and which stocks to pick on this channel. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you smash that subscribe button. But let's talk about the challenge of going from $5 in the stock market to 1,000 as quick as I possibly can, and what actually happened with it. So I'm looking back at the challenge now and looking at all the numbers, all the trades that I made, all the uncomfortable decisions I made, and all the really great decisions I made. And there's a lot to digest in it, but I'm just going to get down to brass tacks and give you what you want. And then I want to talk about why I did this in the first place. So I ended up in a position where I started with one stock and I was playing the hottest stocks at that time. So a lot of quantum plays, a lot of AI plays, companies that I knew and that had a lot of volatility. And I was catching a lot of early wins. A lot of you remember that. However, being that this is a challenge to get there as quickly as I possibly could, I knew that time wasn't on my side and that I was going to have to try new things. And that's exactly what happened. I started doing things like day trading when I've never day traded before, trying to read charts. And although I know a little bit about reading charts, I'm certainly no expert on it, but I knew if I was going to do this challenge, I was going to have to do things differently than I've always done them. Because as you know, I am a longer term investor type. So this challenge really pushed me out of my element, out of my comfort zone, and put me in a position where I was going to have to learn things very quickly and I was going to have to sacrifice money quickly. And so I started with one position, but at the end of this challenge, I finished in 2 different positions. So the 2 final stocks that I wound up in was Circle, which had IPO'd. You'll see that up here. And I also wound up in another IPO as well, which was Arrow IPOs. So I got lucky that there were so many IPOs during this challenge going on that I was able to catch some easy and really solid wins that helped me build a lot of confidence in myself. So this challenge ended up being really fun because it was something that for me pushed me to the limits of my understanding and even further than that, because I knew I was going to have to do something different than I was normally used to in order to try to catch these wins. But I got to tell you, these 2 guys right here single-handedly saved this challenge for me. So as part of the last video, you know that I had around $297.13-ish in that area invested in multiple different stocks. And I was hoping to catch as much momentum as possible. And I did with the Circle IPO, which was up as much as 700% from the time that I initially got my first share of it. However, I held onto it a little bit too long and it ended up going the opposite direction. So when I sold this stock, which I did sell it in the past week, it did start coming back down to earth, and I finished with a total of $203 and a little bit of change on that one, and I'm pretty happy with it. To catch a stock that got 700%, maybe I didn't capture the top, but in investing, as you all know, you can't play the coulda, shoulda, woulda game. This is still a solid win. For me to catch over a 500% return on investment is unheard of. So I look at this as a solid win, although would I have liked to have said, yeah, I caught the top? Who wouldn't want to say that? The fact of the matter is for me to catch a 500% win in a challenge like this just built a lot of confidence in my ability to pick great IPOs, because not all IPOs are winners. But when you know the company intimately, you know the industry intimately, and you know what they do and the potential for them, it sets you up for wins like this. So just in the Circle IPO, I was able to cash it out for $203, and you could see a little bit of change on that one. So pretty solid win. Now, the second stock I had, again, was Arrow, which was also an IPO. Now, the reason why I bought Arrow was because, again, I was trying to catch momentum, but this is another industry that I have a little bit of knowledge and expertise in. So I was an early adopter of Archer Aviation and Joby Aviation as well. And I know the potential for that industry. So when you introduce a company like Arrow, who specializes in drones, and all the talk we've been hearing about drones and police forces starting to use them more, and I just saw a light show outside of my apartment the other day, and they had all sorts of cool little pictures. I'll actually post one up here for you. Cool little pictures that they were making, moving pictures with these drones. You start to see where the future of drones is going. And for me, I knew that I wanted to capture some of that excitement that other investors had as well. So that's why I took the rest of the money and put it into Arrow. But also keep in mind, Arrow, I was locked up in a position for probably a month and a half, 2 months, because if you recall, when I put my order in for the IPO of Arrow, I had put that in back in, I believe it was April. And because of the market volatility going on with the tariffs, they kept postponing and delaying their IPO date. So I was locked up in my position with that for a good almost 2 months. And so that put me a little bit behind the ball with catching at least momentum that would help us get to 1,000, but I still at least caught some of it. So I made on this stock about $21 and a little bit of change. So again, still pretty excited at the overall return in the Arrow stock, because this was just very short term, and this was something I didn't have to worry about knowing how to day trade. I didn't have to worry too much about doing a ton of market research because, again, I already had the knowledge just like I had with IPO. So I still would consider this a win. So where we finished in the challenge of going from $5 in the stock market to 1,000 is after 6 months, we finished just under $225. And when I look at that number, I'm actually pretty impressed. And the reason why is because looking back at the entire challenge, it's really taught me quite a bit. Number one is it taught me what type of investor I am. I was going through a whirlwind of emotions with the way I was investing, because remember, I was doing pretty consistent day trading at the beginning of this, where I was playing 4 to 5 different stocks a day and trying to basically gain as much as I possibly could. This is not an investing style that I've ever done before. And truth be told, yes, I was catching some of these wins, but the vast majority of the time I was catching losses. And when you put an order in to buy a stock and you're day trading and you don't know anything about day trading and you start to see your investment go the opposite way, oh my God, does it eat away at you emotionally? Like, I was getting so upset. I was getting so disappointed because all I wanted to do was hit that $1,000 mark. And it seemed like almost every time I would play one of these day trading stocks that I knew nothing about, I would end up going the opposite way of my goal. And that really took its toll on me, not only mentally, but emotionally as well. And the biggest lesson that I learned in that is that that's just not my style. I know that would I eventually like to learn day trading? It's possible, but is that the type of investor I see myself being anytime soon or in the future? Not really, because for me, I have a style that works for me. A lot of you know that I was an early investor in Tesla. I was an early investor in Palantir. And I'm an early investor in companies like BBAI and quantum computing. And I pride myself on finding stocks like that are small cap, that are slowly building their way up to mid cap and high cap companies. But I'm not the type of investor that's just going to look at a chart and go, oh, this one has a lot of momentum. Let me go ahead and start playing it right now and try to turn as much of a profit as I can. That's just not me. Again, could it be in the future? It definitely could be. But what it really did was it built confidence in who I am as an investor. And when you have confidence in yourself as whatever style of investor you are, you tend to double down on that strategy. And that's what builds wealth for you. So I don't look at the fact that we fell short of the $1,000 as anything more than I learned a lot along the way. And the bonus of it all is that I still made money. So for me, this is a great experience. I think the entire challenge for me was something that I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I took you guys along the journey, because this is really how I've built my entire portfolio over the span of 10 years of really figuring out who I am as an investor and doubling down on that, which is what's made me successful and what will continue to make me successful. It's about trying things, seeing if they work, and if they don't work and I lose money, then it is what it is. But I know that, hey, I may have lost money, but I learned a lesson. And now that I know that lesson, that's irreplaceable knowledge that I know I won't repeat that same mistake again. So let me just stick with what I do know and double down on that. So I think this was a fantastic challenge. I learned a lot. I'm glad I took you guys with me. So what I've done with that money at this point is I've gone back to basics and just reinvested it into companies that I do know. So I bought more BBAI, I bought more D-Wave, and I started buying Serve Robotics as well. These are companies that I've done a lot of research on. These are companies that I'm confident with their financials. I've dug in. I understand how much money they have booked in sales. I understand how much revenue they have coming in and what their forecast looks like for the future. This is knowledge that I know that I can use to my advantage. And so I'm going to take this $225 and I'm going to invest it into companies that I'm comfortable with, that I'm familiar with, that I know the long-term potential for them. And what this is ultimately going to do is that $225 is going to turn into a whole heck of a lot more than $1,000, but it's probably not going to be in 6 months. It's probably going to be in maybe 2 to 5 years, maybe less than that. But the fact of the matter is I don't have to be on my phone constantly checking the stock and trying to sell at the top. No, I can just simply set it and forget it and continue to play the strengths that have gotten me to where I am as an investor today. And I'm extremely thankful for that. So that's where we finished at the challenge, and that's the lessons that I've learned. And all of this, in my opinion, has been nothing short of fun, awesome, and a huge lesson for me that I'll continue to take with me through the rest of my investing life. So I want to thank you guys for following me on this challenge of going from $5 in the stock market to $1,000. And it's been great. It's been rewarding. It's been an experience, a really fun experience. But in all seriousness, I did learn a lot. I felt a lot of emotions. I felt crazy at times, but all of it was so that I could ultimately become a better investor, and I'm glad that you guys joined me along the way. And I do plan on doing more challenges like this in the future. So if that's something that you're interested in, or you want to just follow me and get some guidance on how to start investing, or what types of stocks I'm looking at, what industries I'm looking at, I love to share information like that with you. So if that's something you're interested in, smash that subscribe button. Other than that, I want to thank you guys again for following me on this journey. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace.